All right, so let's get after it here. My name is Lars Hedenborg. I am the founder of Real Estate B School, co-founder of High Performance Real Estate Advisors. Let me share some good stuff, just some stuff to keep me on track here. So I'm going to do the very best I can to kind of take you through my thoughts on what's going on in the market, how it's going to impact your business, the things I'm thinking about. I mentioned earlier, I got into the business at a weird time, and we're getting set to, well, we're already in a weird time as I record this on May 21st. I'm going to do these briefings every other week. I think will probably be the cadence. 2 weeks from now, I'll be on vacation, but the week after that, I'll give you another live briefing, really just as a way to keep in touch with a community that I really do care a lot about. I don't care about a lot of things in this world, you know, my faith, my family, my business, and a community, an industry that I think is really jacked up in a lot of ways. And I think there are things we can do to just to make this business a little bit easier. And, we still can grow our businesses without completely, devastating our personal lives. So this is kind of what I'm planning on going through today. I do want to cover how I scaled my business during the Great Recession years. I think it provides some pretty good context for what I think we're going to head into. Hopefully it's not going to be as awful as the Great Recession. I think it'll give you some context, the information you need to understand the crisis. I think there's just a lot of news and propaganda out there, and I want to help you figure out what to look at and what to pay attention to. What you should be thinking about in order to adapt to the coming market. Understand the real game we are playing and how to win it. And the game really hasn't changed all that much, which is good news. How to change your mindset around time, money, and stress. It's one thing I've done really, really well in my business growth journey. I've continually figured out how to make more money in less time and bring my stress level down. So I want to share some of that with you. And then ultimately how to scale your business in any market, even this one. And so I think we're going to get ready to get into some fun times here. So who is this briefing, this training for? Anyone in the industry that wants to scale their business, but you don't know how. And you have an eye toward entrepreneurialism. You pick the real estate industry in which to sort of grow your business, to do something different than what you see around you. The traditional methods, I think, completely fail. Those that employ them to live a life worth living, and they end up, owning a business that is worth nothing and doesn't lead them to financial freedom. So also for real estate team leaders that aren't running a sustainable model, when you hear me say sustainable, that means, is the thing that you're building or that you've built giving you freedom? So a sustainable business means that the business can run without you for periods of time. Doesn't mean that you have to check out of it altogether or exit production or anything like that. But can you take a 3-day weekend without touching your phone or doing real estate? Can you take a full week of vacation without doing anything in your business? Right? We want to be able to build your business in a way where it serves you. This is for those who are willing to do the work to crush the shift that is coming. I believe there is this golden opportunity that we're seeing for those that are willing to put their heads down to take advantage of it, that will set you up for a long, long time to come. That is the opportunity, the capitalistic opportunity right now is here. And I don't mean that in any negative sense whatsoever. There's the opportunity to serve agents that are going to freak out and not know what to do. And then I would say business-minded real estate agents and team leaders who know there's a better way. So traditional successor industry, like I said, it will have you working 7 days a week, not making really all that much money to show for it, or you get to the end of your career and you don't have a way to exit your business and you haven't built any net worth anything, and you don't have a way to step out of your business, and you're stressed all the time. So I just think there's a better way to do it. And those who can't give any more hours and or the money isn't there. So in our industry, I see the only training I really see is training that, like, if you put out 1 unit of effort, you'll make 1 unit of income. If you put out 2 units of effort, you'll make 2 units of income. If you put out 3, you'll make 3. And there's a direct correlation in most teaching. The effort you put in terms of your time is what you can make. Yeah, of course you can sort of get better at your skills, you know, and you could make more money in less time. Traditional methods, though, are just linked to you as an individual, and it's a pretty challenging road to hoe, or path to hoe. So the question I have for you is, do I have a clear roadmap in place to scale my business profitably and sustainably? So profitably is, you know, there has to be an economic model in place, and we'll talk a little bit about that today. Sustainably is that the thing doesn't depend on you running it all the time. I'm going to tell you a little bit about my journey. And as I'm going through this, I want you to think about where you are in your journey and why building this business the right way is important to you. For me, it was all about my family at the time. I was newly married in 2006. We had our first child late 2007. And it was like, holy cow, this just got real. So I left my corporate job earlier in 2007, and this feeling of being a new dad and a new husband, and this business move that I made, I went from a corporate job, really great corporate job. Just, I didn't want to deal with the corporate ladder, and I wanted to be able to make money that was congruent with the effort and value I provided in the market. And you can't really do that in a corporate environment. There's just annoying, I won't even go into it, but it's just politics and all that garbage. But thinking to myself, this has to work. And then realizing really quickly, you can see Anders is a little bit older there. It wasn't freaking working. This is probably 2008, I would imagine. So he's probably, 1 year old here. And I was working 7 days a week, instant top producer. So I figured out how to do the right things. I sold 44 homes in my first full year in 2008, and it was not working. I was on my phone all the time, 7 days a week. And this is when Kendal came into the world, April 2010, and thinking to myself that this has to work. It was to do or die, right? So I took this big leap of faith, leaving corporate America, making multiple six-figure income, working about 2,000 hours a year, so about $100 an hour, and just thinking that this thing had to happen. And I'll say this, the journey of business ownership and the things I had to do to make the business work, there was nothing perfect about it. The one thing that was there was this laser focus on building a business that didn't own me. And so it was super, super intentional. Man, I get emotional just thinking about creating this life for my family back in those early years. The thought of that to me was enough to propel me to do any freaking thing in the business. Work any amount of days and nights, late hours, in order to build this business in a way where it had a life of its own and it could serve our team members, our clients, and our community without me being so wrapped up in it. So it was a really intense focus of mine to do it. And I had a lot on the line. Real Estate B School was only born not by the fact that I am this attention seeker, this want to be on stage kind of guy. I am a low I. If you would have told me 10 years ago, so 2010, if you would have told me that I would be doing a webinar, let alone staying on stage talking to hundreds of folks about, how to build a business in a certain way, I would have given it a 0% chance that would have been a thing. And God had a different plan for me. And so I just think there's this better way to do real estate. And that's why Real Estate B School was born. So for some crazy reason, I felt the need, and I haven't updated this in a couple years really. And it is getting fun again. You can see the right-hand side there. This is the Charlotte real estate market against the things that have gone on in my life. And then you can see time, money, and stress. So I'm always thinking about time, money, and stress. Like, how many hours do I need to put into the business to earn the desired income, the income that I want, and endure a level of stress that's manageable? That should be like every week you should think about that. Every week you should be taking a clarity break and thinking about, like, how much time did I put in last week? How much money was I able to take out, or where did my net worth go? Maybe this is probably monthly basis as I track net worth monthly. And what was my stress level like? And so there's an absolute way to to kind of think through all of that and attach it to tangible progress. So I started working 7 days. It took me a couple years to get it down to a normal business work week, probably 50 hours. So 5 days. Once I really figured out the levers, the systems, how to help folks around me succeed at a high level and give them the tools and resources to do it, then I was able to step back in the real estate business. And then I was able to launch this business, Real Estate B School. So it went from 7 to 5 to 3. I think I went 2 days a week, and it's been 1 day a week for 7 years now in the real estate business. And my net worth was low six figures. Honestly, when I got started, I didn't have a big net worth. I wasn't blessed financially, in my early years as a kid or anything. Came from pretty humble beginnings. My parents got divorced when I was 4. My dad was an alcoholic, and just sort of an interesting background. I think, God blessed me with an ability to put my head down and achieve as my way to deal with the not so fun stuff in my childhood. So that was a real blessing. And so I was able to go from, not a whole lot of net worth coming out of my corporate life. It's just hard to really make that much money to be able to put it away, to, I have a multiple 7-figure liquid net worth. So liquid net worth is different than sort of what your home is worth or those sorts of things. Liquid net worth is, within 7 days, what can you write a check for? So that's just a number that I pay attention to. It's not even remotely the most important measure for me. But when you look back on your journey, how has time, money, and stress looked for you over the last 10 years? Are you getting where you want to get to in terms of your freedom of time, your financial freedom, and, where is your stress level currently? And so it's just something that I really focus on, and I really encourage you to do the same thing. For me, getting out of production, you could see the red. I actually just changed these colors coming into this briefing. The red to me is production. So for me, it was painful. Red is a painful number when it comes to business. It's usually linked to losses. Green is good. Green is profit. And so for me, production, I was 100% of production in 2008. 2009, late that year, we did 58 transactions. I did 55 of them. So I was most of the business. 2010, we did 118 transactions. I was about half of the production. 2011, we did 178. And I think I did like 50 deals or so. So about a third, 55 or so. 2012, I closed 1 transaction that year. I think you could see a little red mark. And so my goal was to build the business where it still had a lot. It still was a viable, growing business, yet I wasn't the one in production. So that was just a personal goal of mine. It's not the only thing that we do in Real Estate B School. Sometimes I get critiqued a little bit because I tell that story, and some folks love real estate. They love production. It's just gotten out of hand for them, and they're doing it too many days, too many hours a week. So that was 248 units in 2012. I did 1 unit. And then since then into, I guess it's 2020 at this point, I've been out of production 100%. And I won't do production for any reason whatsoever. I even question having a real estate license at this point. I do some marketing in my local market, so I think I need it. We listed a $1.5 million home. This was a week ago. Really good friends of mine. And I'm not the agent. Like, I'm just not the agent. So there's nothing that will draw me back into production because I'm a really good business owner. And I just explained that. So I went over their house. They're like dear friends of mine. I brought our top agent and probably had about a half hour into a $40,000+ commission check. So it's about the most production I'll ever do. And it's only for good friends I'll do that. So as I went through all that and I talked about my story, what are you thinking? And what are the top reasons why you want to build a sustainable business? Is it about spending more time with friends and family? Having more freedom or peace? Being a top agent is hard. It is the drama that you take on from your clients and the hours you work and the unrealistic expectations that are placed on you by your clients. It hurts your life. And some are better at grinning and bearing it. And I don't say any of that in a negative way. It's mostly just to say that it's real. And if you're watching this live on Facebook, if you could share it, that would be awesome. I see Janie's in there, and I appreciate you guys showing up. We've got folks that are actually in the webinar and then folks that are live. So, yeah, so think about what's important to you. Why do you want to do this? And so I want to shift gears. I want to leave you with that question, because that's a question that requires a little bit of deep thought. The top 3 reasons that you want to build a sustainable business. You really need to ground yourself in those reasons so that you're going to do the work required to build this thing the right way. I want to shift gears a little bit, and I want to talk about specifically, let me move this up. I made this little, so as it relates to the pandemic, the coronavirus, what you need to know and what I'm looking at and how I'm sort of navigating this. We subscribe to Keeping Current Matters, which has been a really good resource for us to really help understand like what we need to be thinking about as real estate agents and business owners, and the questions that we're going to be asked and how we're going to navigate this. So there's 3 things that, 3 buckets that you need to be thinking about, and they're sort of a little bit independent of each other. First is the business science in terms of the economy and what's happened with past economic slowdowns or recessions. So part of this, it really doesn't matter what tripped it. We knew a shift was coming. We knew the economy was ready for a recession, so it really doesn't matter what tripped it, but how do economies recover? Like, you just got to get a little smart on that so you can hold conversations about that. The second part is just the health science, which I have no idea how this is going to, it's not going to go away. It's not going to, because we were shut in for 8 weeks or so, now they're loosening up. It's going to spread more. The incidence rates are going to go up. The deaths are going to go up. It's just going to take its course. Whether or not there'll be a vaccine, like, who knows? That whole world is driven by like money, and if there's more. Anyway, I don't want to get into that, and I'm not smart enough to know any of the health science, but then also the people science, which I think is pretty cool. So after businesses become fully operational, how long will it take just people to get back to normal? There still are folks that are completely freaked out, and rightly so, that have, even if they're healthy, they have folks that they're caring for that might be older. So they're being conservative with their moves, and they're staying in. So it's just going to be interesting to see how these things play out. And these are the things that I am thinking about. And I think you should be looking at specific to your market and your situation. I really track unemployment, and that's probably the biggest thing that not concerns me. It's just something I really pay attention to. Like, I just scratch my head on it. There are folks out there that are calling for quick recoveries, and it's not going to be that bad. And I still scratch my head on it. We're trending down. I'll show you the chart here in a second. Anyway, I'll show you the chart, but the impact of unemployment on our economy and real estate, and what's the likely path of the virus? 3, 6, 12, 18 months, like, this thing is going to be around for a while. And how are we going to be reintroduced, be allowed to get out of our houses, and the impact, and then they're going to pull us back again and recommend that we stay in, and those sorts of things. From a business standpoint and a real estate standpoint, is monitoring leading indicators in my market, specifically inventory and showings. And so I'm going to get to the news part. But really figuring out what's going on in your local market, and being able to have conversations with buyers and sellers about what's going on. And then also monitoring closely my personal economy and cash in hand. So I'm going to go through an exercise today. I think we're going to be fine. I'm just going to keep pushing through and add as much value as I possibly can. If you hang with me, that's great. And so I'll go through an exercise in terms of how to calculate net worth, and why that calculation is really, really important, and why I consider liquid net worth right now to be a little different and a little bit more valuable than what you might have in your home, or what you might have in an automobile, or those sorts of things. And then last thing, and definitely not the least important, is to check my head. So my mental space, how I'm doing mentally, and avoiding any news whatsoever. Avoiding any news whatsoever. And I think that one is really, really important. Let me just check one thing here. All right. And so those are the things that I'm thinking about. And these are the questions that will be asked, you know, as a real estate professional, as somebody that wants to build their business. You need to sort of be smart on those things. You know, you need to be able to talk about the economy, when it's going to recover. If we're going into a recession, how long it will last. If it's going to be like the housing crisis of 2008, a lot of folks, and the news is already pointing us there. In my local market, news reports are already coming out. We're going live on the radio today, and we're going to talk about a news report that just came out that is totally not what's going on. And it's like this fear, like the lowest home sales that we've ever had in 10 years as the pandemic rips through the Charlotte market. And it's not reality at all. We sold like 12 houses last week, and we listed 12, and showings are through the roof. And, you know, that 1.5 million or 1.6 million dollar home has like multiple offers on it. And so you're still going to see a lot of press around that. And then still though, there is like, you need to be smart about the job losses. You know, there's 37 or 38 or 40 million jobless claims, and 20 million of them are continuing. So all the jobless claims, there's still 20 million that are ongoing. Folks every week that are claiming to be unemployed and collecting benefits, which is like Great Depression levels, you know, so that's a real thing we got to be smart on. And then just the obvious questions about like, for anyone's specific situation, that they should buy or sell or wait, or interest rates, inventory, pricing, those sorts of things. So this is something that I'm watching really closely is, you know, what are the jobless claims looking like? And the good news is that they're down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. They're that in 8 weeks it's been coming down, and it's still 4 times higher than the previous all-time high in a single week. So this is just something we need to be smart on. A report did come out, which I was waiting for, on May 8th, that updated the April report, which didn't have a lot of data on it. So this only covers through April 12th. So if you see April 12th here, that only covers the first 3 weeks. So there's still, you know, 5 weeks that's not covered in here, but it does show that the complexion of the job losses are 2 things. They're more likely to bounce back quickly. So servers, bartenders, retail, doctor offices, arts and entertainment, childcare, those sorts of things are going to come back. And it's also, studies are showing that those folks may not have been likely to purchase a home. They may be lower income folks anyway. So the data is showing that, you know, even if we get up to 20% unemployment, there's 80% that are employed, and the 20% that are unemployed are lower income earners, which may not impact housing. So that's not a judgment on lower income earners at all. It's just a judgment on they may not have been in the market or would have been in the market. So this has changed a little bit in terms of estimates of when we'll go back to where we were with unemployment. They're saying maybe 4th year now. If you look back at Great Recession, Great Depression, it took 9 and 12 years respectively for those markets to recover from an unemployment standpoint. So they're talking about 3 to 4 years recovery for, you know, where we were pre-COVID in the US. It will take years to recover from where we were. And so the question is, you know, how will that impact real estate? So this is something for you to track in your local market. We use showing time. This is nationally. Showings are back to where they were when everything sort of hit the fan here in second week of March or so. The good news is this is a little different than 2008 because there's like almost 60% of Americans have 60% equity in their home. So just think of that. And then a chunk of homes are owned free and clear. And so there's a lot of equity that didn't exist back in 2008 that exists today. A lot of folks are wanting to compare this to what happened in 2008. If you look at the home price appreciation leading up to the housing crash of the Great Recession and the past 6 years leading up to this COVID pandemic economic shift that's going on, it's not even the same. Like there was an irrational amount of appreciation in real estate back leading up to the housing crisis. So this is not driven by the same thing. And I'm getting a lot of confidence around that. One other thing to pay attention to, or at least be able to talk through with your clients, is mortgage credit availability index. So this is the lower the number, the better in terms of stability in lending. And so back in the housing bubble in 2006, it was really easy to get a loan. So the higher the number, the easier it is to get a loan. And you can see since June 2008 to today, which is over 10 years, 12 years ago almost, it hasn't increased that much. So we haven't gone back to giving deals, no income, no doc type deals. It's just not happening. One other thing to really know and be able to talk through is that the equity cash outs leading up to the 2008 housing crisis, the 3 years leading up, over $800 billion were taken out of folks' homes, and it didn't go into good stuff. Let's just say it that way. About 230 billion, so less than a third, has been taken out for cash out refis in the 3 years leading up to 2020. So totally different. And then one other thing to kind of look through is that folks are wanting to, and the news will do this, they're going to link unemployment to housing, and the data doesn't really show it. So the data really doesn't show that there's a correlation. If you look at the Great Depression and the Great Recession, you could see that unemployment rates. So this is saying, so if there's an estimate for 2020, I think it's going to be higher than 15%, but you can see that there were significant unemployment rates and the way they came down, but there wasn't a correlation to the value of homes during that time. So I missed out a slide here, but essentially there wasn't a direct correlation to unemployment being high and home prices coming down. That's the big fear, is that home prices are going to come down. Most markets, our market especially, is driven by super low inventory. And so fundamentally, housing is not the big issue to look at. And I'm still monitoring jobless claims and unemployment, because I think that could be an issue. The bottom line of what I'm going to see, though, and what I'm really paying attention to, one other indicator, is the roster of agents in your market. So the roster of agents in your market, I think, is something to pay attention to. And I think I think we're getting ready to see a lot of agents being freaked out and getting in their heads about what's going on in the economy and irrationally pulling the plug on their real estate career. So the golden opportunity, we actually just did a training on this yesterday. We do a live weekly training, just did a training on recruiting, how to use Facebook to recruit. Like, there's a lot of agents that don't know what to do, that are home on their Facebook, and the opportunity to show them a different way to do real estate by coming into your world. That is the golden opportunity to do exactly what I did back in 2008, 9, 10, 11, and 12. In those 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, in those 5 years, I went from solo agent working 7 days a week, did 44 transactions in 2008, to 248 transactions in a single year, where I did one transaction, and I made a whole lot of money that year because it was on the right economic model. Then we went on to 312, and then over 400 in the 2 years after that. And honestly, real estate's been harder in the last 3 to 4 years, 5 years, than it was during those Great Recession years, because everyone was fearful and everyone was looking for a better way to do real estate and security. And having a real estate team was the safe haven back then. I remember this, and then I'm going to move on. In 2010, that was essentially the first year I started my real estate team. 2009, I hired one agent late in the year. 2010, I picked up 3 agents that had over 20 years of combined experience. So here I was, my third full year in real estate. Well, yeah, so I had just finished 2 full years in real estate, and I brought 20 years of experience into my world. And that allowed us to go from 58 to 118. The next year we did 178, and really we only hired maybe a couple more agents and one more administrator. So it was not this complicated business, and we still teach folks that it's not complicated. Most want to overcomplicate it. A handful of agents, a local administrator, and a couple of VAs, and you could do 150 to 200 sides, just following sort of basic systems. Not that I watched the news. This quote I thought was interesting. Mortgage applications to purchase a home rose 6% last week from the previous week, according to the Mortgage Bankers Association's seasonally adjusted index. Purchase volume was just 1.5% lower than a year ago, a rather stunning recovery from just 6 weeks ago when purchase volume was down 35% annually. In our market, purchase volume was down 21% in April compared to April of the prior year. I bet you May is going to be higher than May of 2019, and I'm almost positive June is going to be higher than that. And so we're looking at some good, I don't know if it's going to last forever. So I'm not here to tell you that we're not going to suffer any economic pain, because I think there's some pain coming. I do think we're in a little bit of a bubble. Yeah, Justin asked a question. Yeah, it's from KCM. So I follow KCM. I've been following for like forever. They've got some free resources too. If you don't subscribe to KCM, we had David Childers come to our virtual intensive workshop, gave an awesome update. If you go to keepingcurrentmatters.com/coronavirus, that'll give you free updates. You don't even need to subscribe to get the updates. So I would definitely look at that. Anytime they do an update on that sort of stuff. And then your job is just to take that information local. And then, so when I do my monthly market updates, I'll do these monthly market updates. I'll do a Facebook Live for my real estate team. I will use that data and then sprinkle in local data as well. Really good stuff. Just a really cool company. So the question is, what do we do now? Like, there is like a little bit of, I'm going to assume everyone that is on here wants to build a business. And so I'll start with that. And the rest of this conversation is going to be around, what do you need to do to actually build a business? I don't consider 90% of real estate agents to be business owners. They may consider themselves business owners, but a business owner doesn't have to work 7 days a week. A business owner, they can earn income that's not related to the business, doing the activities of a real estate agent. So there's difference between real estate agent income and entrepreneurial income. And so the goal here is I want to teach you how to build a business that earns you entrepreneurial income, which is not necessarily having to help buyers and sellers. So that is what God has gifted me with, and that's what I'm going to spend the rest of our time working on. This screen here, this and one other slide that we go through are things that we have our members laminate. So double-sided, the game we're playing, and then I'll talk about the business freedom blueprint here in a little bit. So this is probably one of those screenshots that you want to grab. When you get confused about, what the business is, what you should be focusing on, what you should be building, in your next quarterly, we work in quarterly sprints in Real Estate B School. We call it the 90-day world. So we have our members just work on 2 or 3 systems, tools at a time. And we have them use this in addition to one other tool that I'll show you here in a minute. This is the whole game. And so the inputs are anything you can do to attract buyers and sellers into your world. And then it's the 5 steps that you go through to have, to do the discipline, to have enough meaningful conversations, to set appointments, to meet those appointments, have those consultations, sign clients, close them, and then have them say really great things about you that you use in your marketing. And so we have completely changed the left-hand side. So I see teams that are spending $10, $20, $50, $100,000 a month on Zillow. And then Zillow flips the switch and they decide that they're going to quadruple their prices over the last 4 years, or they're going to go to a 35% referral model. And the economics of those businesses that are 100% reliant on those sources have been impacted forever, and they can't recover from it. And so it doesn't mean you can't make those lead sources work. You just have to think about, how do you become the marketer and not let someone else get in the middle of you and a buyer or seller. And that's what we do really well at Real Estate B School. A lot of database, listing marketing, buyer marketing, organic stuff that we're doing that's working really, really well. And then just asking yourself the questions: will you apply the discipline to do the work to have meaningful conversations? Can you compel the prospect to take action and say yes to meet with you for a consultation? Will they show up pre-sold on your services? Do you have the marketing collateral on a pre-list packet or a pre-buyer packet to be able to get them excited about doing business with you before they even meet you? And so it'll actually help them show up. And then, is there enough value to do business with you, your ability to sign them as a client? And can you get them to the finish line and they still like you? All the goodwill goes to crap in step 5 if you don't have a system to provide a level of service that they will not get anywhere else in your market or the entire country, in terms of, being serviced as a seller or a buyer, and then the process of going under contract and getting to closing, and then how they're handled as a client for life after that. So this is the game that we're playing. This game hasn't changed, which is super awesome. I'm going to present this one a little differently. So give me like a 1 second here. This one is like a build slide. So I'm going to build it out for you. All right, so this should work here. All right, so let me know if you can see this slide here. Go to the chat. Oh, there we go. All right, good. So we're good. All right, so let's, I really want to slow down on this. If you truly understand this scale model, I believe you'll see your business differently forever. And so I talk about scaling a business. Scaling a business and growing your income are a little bit different. Scaling a business is putting it together in such a way where it can scale without you putting more effort into it, if that makes sense. So the byproduct of doing that right is time freedom, is money freedom, and it is reduced stress. And so that is what I want most for you, is to be able to build this business in a way where you get the time and money freedom you're looking for, and your stress level comes down forever. And so to do that, there are 3 parts. Number 1, create your future. Number 2 is know your numbers. And then the third part is to grow your team. And you don't need to grow your team. This is where I get a little bit in trouble. If you want to detach time from money, you need to be able to bring folks around you that are going to do the 10, let's say there are 12 jobs a real estate agent does. There's 10 of those jobs that you can hire others to do for less than $50 an hour. So if you want to make $500 or $1,000 an hour, you have to bring at least a few people into your world. So it doesn't have to be a 20-person business. Last year we did 2.9 million with 12 people. So we were like super systems driven, like really profitable, Navy SEAL type business, half administrative, half sales. And so it doesn't have to be a lot of people. So I don't want to get you all freaked out when I say grow your team. So if you don't create your future, here's the thing that happens. You have no direction. It's like rudderless ship, like you're in the ocean, no direction whatsoever. If you don't know your numbers, and this is a big one because most real estate agents get freaked out when it comes to their numbers. If you don't know your numbers, there's no predictability. And if you don't grow your team, even with, let's say on the lowest side, the smallest team you could possibly do and still have an amazing life with high income, total time freedom, and no stress, that business model would look like you're the listing agent. You've got like maybe 1 showing agent, 4 buyer agents, and 1 solid administrator and a VA. You can do 150 deals with that model right there. And so if you don't grow your team, you won't have any sustainability. Sustainability is your ability to step away from the business. So when I think about create your future, there's three things I want you to focus on. And this is another slide that's worth, when I build it all out, it's worth a screenshot. It's to get clear on the model ahead of time, predetermine what you're going to build, put your life first, decide to build this thing in a way where it's going to serve your personal life rather than enslave you, and then to come up with the actual plans to do that. We call plan your future. When it comes to knowing your numbers, first and foremost, it's determining your economic model, understanding it, and sticking to it. There are some foundational financial tools that you need to put in place, and then this process of achieving financial freedom. And if you don't know what your net worth is, or you don't know your assets and your liabilities and your cash flow and how much of it is passive versus active, you know, entrepreneurial versus like I'm actually doing the job, that's something that we need to stop if you're going to actually do this at a high level. And then when it comes to growing your team, is to identify and attract talent, to hire, the hiring process and onboarding that talent so they can be productive as soon as possible. And then the cadence and culture around all of that. So when I look at this, this framework here, and I'm probably going to shortcut some of the stuff I'll go through here. But when I look at this is the difference between those that are able to build a business beyond themselves and those that aren't able to. And so, or those that build a business and it's built on the wrong financial model and they don't have net worth to show for their efforts. They're not running, you know, they're sort of unclear. Are they like a brokerage or are they a team? You know, what their splits are, their value-based commission splits, all of that. They don't have a clear plan. It's not putting their life first. They don't have a process for really bringing people in that they want to be around. There's no cadence or like every conversation I can have about anyone who is attempting to do this or who has done it and they've done it the wrong way. They've grown transactions, but they don't have time, money, or stress freedom. And so it all comes down to everything on this one page. So I want to walk you through parts of this that I think will really serve you. I got to be careful here because I want to honor our time. I do want to be done. I'm going to give myself 28 minutes to finish. So by 12:15 Eastern, we are going to be finished up. So the first part here is to create your future. And this is one thing that I was just really super clear on. I was going to figure out exactly. I'm trying to get something off my screen. Bear with me. Never mind. I'll just let it on there. So many times people don't slow down to think about where they want to be in the future. And I love to ask this question. How many of you created a 3-year plan 3 years ago and crushed it? So like, think about it. Like your 3-year plan 3 years ago, most of you are going to say, I didn't create a 3-year plan 3 years ago. So there's nothing that I could have crushed. So obviously that's one issue. But let's say you did. Based on where you have been, how confident are you in where you're going? You know, so it's getting really good at predicting the future, setting a course, you know, having a vision for your business and your life and doing the things to get there. It's easy to say. It's actually not that hard to do. Most folks, though, just miss this entirely and they don't actually go through the process of creating their future. I'm not going to cover getting clear on model too much. What I mean by this, though, is we have folks that build a real estate business entirely the wrong way. So if time, money, and stress are the things, you know, freedoms around those is what you're after, the brokerage, building more of a loose collection of people is not going to get you there. We see a lot of teams that are just brokerages and they have like no margin whatsoever. And it forces the team owner to do even more production as a result of setting the thing up the wrong way or not being clear on what it was supposed to be. And so the way I want you to think about, you know, what you're building is you're going to build it as if you were going to replicate it 10,000 times. So one of the first books I read in 2007, when I first got into business, I'm not a book reader. I think I probably listened to the audio, was E-Myth Revisited. And the E-Myth question says, how would you have to think about your business in order to replicate it 10,000 times? So you may never have a second physical location. How would you think about your business if you're going to replicate it? So it just forces you to not place yourself in every aspect of the business. And then asking yourself the question, do I truly own a business, or do I simply own the place I go to work? It doesn't matter where you are in your journey. It doesn't matter if you're selling 10 homes, 50 homes, 100 homes, or 300 homes. Do you own a business, or do you simply own the place that you go to work? That's really, really powerful question. So second part here is putting your life first. This to me is the whole game. I don't think there's any point of being a business owner if you're just going to be spending all of your time in the business. Give me 1 second. I've got a couple questions in here, which I want to get to. If y'all could see my setup, when I go on my second screen, yeah, it'll be recorded. I don't know how we're going to get out, but it will be recorded. So I answered that. And then answered Justin's question. So we're good there. So you guys can either go in the chat or you can ask questions. And so putting your life first, this I think is missed, and the question, I'm trying to get this thing off my screen. The question I want you to ask yourself is, will I have regrets if I continue to go down the path I'm on right now? Hard question, right? I'm just in this really weird phase. I'm only 46, but I think I'm acting like I'm, 75. And I'm thinking about, like, fast forward 30 years. And if I keep doing the things I'm doing now, like what if I could have talked to my 46-year-old self at age 75 or 85 and say, hey, listen, you're going to have these regrets, like in your marriage, with your kids, in your business, with your, the impact you could have had on those around you, your leadership, those sorts of things, your faith. And so, really, that's what I think about when I think about putting your life first. So we have a whole process that we go through to help you find your leverage. Your leverage, the reason you're doing this is really the thing that matters. For me, it was to have the freedom to do anything, anytime I wanted with my family. That was the initial sort of attraction to doing this the right way. Since then, it's been more about impact and helping others succeed and that sort of thing. Initially, though, it was so I can be free to do certain things. So my son took up fishing. So for us to be able to go away and to go on a fishing trip, this is in Lake Lure, North Carolina. This is in our backyard. My daughter got into fishing and caught a bass in our little rinky-dink pond you can see behind us, and just not missing out on the good stuff and just taking this attitude of gratitude consistently. We have processes in place to be able to do that. Third part here is to plan your future. This is where it gets really, really exciting, and asking yourself the question, am I making consistent progress toward meaningful goals in the areas of life and business that really matter? All of these questions I'm taking you through are questions that I go through on a regular basis. And that's why I'm asking you them. I want you to continually ask yourself these questions. And if you're not getting the answer that you want, you just need to seek out and get on a path to be able to get the right answers to these questions. So are you making consistent progress? I'm a believer. And so I do the best I can. I sin all the time. And yet I do the best I can to stay in a really narrow path. So in the Bible, Proverbs 29:18, where there is no vision, the people perish. And this is important in a lot of ways. Even if you don't share my faith, this is important because if you don't have vision around your business and your life, the chances that you get there and you're energized and enthusiastic and you have like energy around it are really slim. And the same thing goes for if you bring anyone else into your world. And the same thing goes in your marriage. If you don't have a vision for your marriage, it will perish. So business especially. So we apply this principle in business. This was my first business plan. This was back in 2009. I set these 3, 5, 10-year goals. And long story short, I crushed all of them. And ever since then, I've been doing a very specific process. I'll say one thing. There seems to be a lack of patience when it comes to building a business. If you lay the right foundations, you will get the success. And it's just sort of, doing the right things in the right order. You're responsible for showing up, right? So that's, you can't blame your non-success on anyone except yourself. And that doesn't mean you have to know all the things or have all the ways of doing it. You just need to be able to seek those things out. And then last thing I'll say here is that this is the perfect visual for just how to live your life. It is to keep your eyes on your own race. So the reason a horse has those blinders on, you can see me in my blinders, it's so they don't get spooked by the other horses running their races. And I feel like with social media, and even like you admire agents in your market or around the country that you know nothing about. You don't know if they have a good marriage, if physically or emotionally they're fit. We had a top 5 team leader for Keller Williams in 2018 commit suicide. I didn't know the guy, but how does a guy that built an amazing business, you can see videos of him online with his family and his team and this great culture that they were talking about and how awesome it was. How does that happen? And I don't understand depression, so that's not what I'm saying. Though there has to be a part of it where you're feeling less than, or, something is off. So there's more to life than just business, but keep your eye on your own stuff. Not going to have a lot of time to focus on the case studies. I'm bringing case studies into this. If you go to realestatebschool.com and you, I think it's Real Success. You can click on case studies. Dave Hooks is one that I really highly recommend you watch. He's been out of production in his business for, I think, going on 3 years now. I've been working with him for over 5 years. He was doing like 70, 80 homes with an assistant when I met him and a buyer agent or two, but he was doing like 90% of the production. And he built an awesome small little business, 2.4 million GCI last year. His wife was pregnant with their first. They have 3 kids now. And he's talking about, how do I get out of it 100%? And what does that look like? And so just a really cool story. And he just turned 40 and he's talking about like, what does retirement look like? Because we built this business the right way. All right, so let's shift gears into the most fun topic for real estate agents and team leaders. It's know your numbers. I'm going to give you the high level lessons here and what you need to just look out for. I'm not going to go too deep here. This is a lot like fundamentally Real Estate B School. What we help you with is like the minimum effective dose in terms of being able to know your numbers and simple tracking, leading and lagging indicators, tracking that we help you focus on. So number 1, though, is to know your economic model. Pre-decide what your business is going to look like when it's a multi-million-dollar business. Your gross margin, what you pay your agents and your broker, how much you spend on marketing, how much you spend on your people, how much you spend on overhead, and how much is left over for you to split with the government. Sounds like basic. Very few people actually build it out ahead of time. So it's really, really important to be able to do that. Second part here is foundational tools. So there's a handful of tools that you need to employ to be able to do this the right way, like a bookkeeper. We have the way you move money around. We use Profit First to move money around in the business so you can systematically increase your net worth, those sorts of things. I love this quote. If you haven't read the book Profit First, Mike Michalowicz, profit is not an event, it's a habit. And I think the same is true. So if I were to make a Lars Hedenborg quote, it would be, wealth, becoming wealthy is not an event, it's a habit. So since 2007, when I got into real estate and I had low six-figure net worth to, multiple seven-figure liquid net worth today, there's nothing spectacular about it. It wasn't like I built the business for 10 years and there was just this big influx of cash and all of a sudden, like it was just a small chipping away of it. And there's another quote, which is from, I think his book Clockwork, but he says, putting your nose to the grindstone is a really easy way to cover up an unhealthy business. We think if we can just work harder, longer, better, if we could just hold out, something good will happen one day. And that's just not the truth. And so really guard yourself against that. I'm not going to get into profit first, but it's a system that we run, and we've got templates that we teach to sort of simplify that process. Financial freedom, though, I will want to touch on this real quick. Am I consistently tracking and systematically increasing my net worth? And so this is one that I see in real estate is nobody talks about it. Nobody will have an honest conversation about what their net worth is, how they're increasing it. Everyone is just charging hard and reporting the number of transactions or their GCI. So it's complete, just, it's so inauthentic. And I feel like if we could just have honest conversations about where we are financially, we can get to work on changing it. And so I don't care where you are in your net worth. It could be negative 200,000. The process to go from where you are today to go to wherever you want to be. I have two numbers in mind, 4 million and 8 million. So I'm almost at my first number, and then I'm going to probably work on getting to my second number of just liquid net worth. That'll provide me a sort of critical mass where I probably won't have to do a whole lot when I get there. It doesn't happen overnight. You know, it doesn't matter where you are today. It's just a constant sort of focus on that thing and a way to go about it. So, and please, 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 there's no shame in it. And that's what I see most of all, is that there's just a lot of shame around your financial condition. It doesn't define you either, you know, so I don't worry about my net worth. I do track it. I think to be a good steward of running a business and the opportunity given to me to run a business and to care for my people and our clients and our community, you know, I think that being the more the steward of it is the thing that stresses me out more so than how it's increasing for me, even though I do love that it's increasing and it allows me to have an even bigger impact in my community. So the point of owning a business is to make the owner a lot of money. If you think otherwise, I don't think you should be a business owner. You know, it straight up, what you do with the money is a different story. So you could do a lot of bad things with money and you could do a lot of good with money. The point of taking the risk and going down this different path is to make a lot of money. And it's only one measure of success, y'all. It is not the only thing I measure my success with. You know, it's faith, family. And when I talk family, I'm talking husband first, then a father, you know, and then it's my businesses and my net worth and doing fun stuff and all of that. And the cool thing, and I want to talk about time. This is where I want y'all, if you're driving, pull over. If you're checking email and you checked out on me, stop it, close email, and check in right now. This is something I'm really geeking out on, and I think will change forever the way we look at real estate. And I'm putting these measures into place for our clients as a way to see where they are in this ascension process. So the cool thing about time is that we all have the same amount of it. And I just love that. And I don't make light of the fact that it is crazy how much there is to do in a single day. And it can lead to massive frustration, especially if you're trying to build a business. If you're trying to build a business, be a good dad, be a good husband. You know, if you're trying to stay in the word and trying to take care of your physical body and have a friendship or a hobby, like, it is crazy. And so I honor the struggle. And here is what I want to go through. We are all trading time for money. So the question is, you know, do we have the ability to decouple the two? And don't, I just want you to suspend disbelief on that. What I mean by decouple time and money is that, can you make a lot of money in a little amount of time? Can you go from working 3,000 hours a year, which is 60 hours a week, making 150,000, which is, it's a really good agent right there. A really good agent is making 150,000 take home and they're working 3,000 hours, right? So let's do the math on that. So this is something I call the where'd it go? Come on. All right, Business Freedom Index. So let's break this down. That example, actually, I'm going to start with my corporate example. My corporate life, I made about 200 grand. For my age at that time, what was I? 34 years old, 33, 34, making 200 grand. It was awesome. Like, I didn't worry about work when I left work, you know, low stress. But basically, I made 200 grand working 2,000 hours a year, 40 hours a week times 50 weeks, $100 an hour. So that's what that trade looked like. A really good real estate agent is working 60 hours a week, so 3,000 hours a year, and they're probably making 150. You know, some are working 60 hours a week and making less than 150. Some are working 60 hours a week and making 300 grand. So you can use any example that sort of works for you. I want you to run the numbers on your own situation and just know that there's a process to increase it. And I'm going to go through that here in a second. So $150,000 a year divided by 3,000 hours is $50 per hour. 300,000 divided by 3,000 is $100 per hour. That is pretty much where I see this sort of go with most agents, most team leaders. Agents certainly have a tough time getting more than $100 an hour. I don't see a whole lot of team leaders making $250 an hour. If you look at this journey, we call this the Business Growth Navigator. I have a whole separate training on this. So I can't unpack it all here. So just imagine that, you know, there's the opportunity to have a 7-figure income all the way up this mountain. And then in the start survival mode, you're probably making 50 grand, 75 grand. And so it's not as much linked to homes. I'm actually linking the next version of this to more GCI. But there's, you know, start, ramp, scale, lead, exit, and own. And when you look at the Business Freedom Index as it relates to the different phases of growth as a real estate business owner, there is typically a direct correlation. My first part year in the business, I was making less than 25 bucks an hour. It was miserable. I think I made 18 bucks an hour or something crazy net. That was in 2007. 2008, I probably got into the ramp. That's where we did 44 transactions. I was probably, you know, I forget my take home, but it's probably a little over 100,000. And I probably worked, you know, I don't know. I guess it might not even been, you know, it was more than 25 bucks an hour. But then I made a commitment that I was going to make 250 bucks an hour, 500 grand working 2,000 hours. So I knew what I was making and I decided to change it. And it took me about 5 years to get to 250,000 an hour. It took me another 5 years to get to $500 an hour. And then I'm right in the middle of getting to $1,000 or more per hour. I would have had a good shot at it this year. And I think Corona might have messed me up. I haven't given up on it yet. And so really it's this process of only doing the things in your business that are the most dollar productive, that are worth the most amount of money. And in real estate, there's not a lot of them, which is the best news ever. So I learned real quickly that a showing agent was about 20 bucks an hour in my market. A buyer agent was like 30 to 50. A listing agent was 75 to 100. And I was like, shoot. And then marketing coordination, closing coordination, listing client care, all of that was, you know, 20 to $30 an hour. So I'm like, okay, like what's left? I'm like listing appointments. So I could do that for a while. But then even then, like I did them probably better than our listing agents that I brought on. But, you know, even then I couldn't really afford to do them long term. The only thing is like vision, you know, maybe recruiting. Like recruiting is super off the charts dollar productive. You can bring in a good agent and dial that process in. We've got that process totally built out in Real Estate B School, but if you can do that process at a high level and onboard them properly and provide a world-class experience for them coming onto your team, and then the cadence and the culture going forward, that amount of time is $1,000+ an hour time, and all the systems that revolve. Systems work is $1,000 an hour. And people hate to do it, but it's like really, really valuable. So what's your number currently and what do you want it to be? That is the challenge for you. What's your number currently and what do you want it to be? I obsessed over this. I obsessed over it. I put it in my plans, what I wanted to be making, my net worth, those sorts of things. This was 2010, 2011. We've got a process that we track our net worth. And they're just staying focused. Dan Jones is another great case study. I'm not going to go through it here. He did almost 300 units last year. He's one of our business coaches. He was on my real estate team, and he was a good agent on our team. I made him drop down to one lead source, and he did 105 transactions with him, an administrator, and like one agent. He did 65 transactions before I started working with him to help him build his own team. Then he went to 175, 225, 265, and last year, I think it was like 297 or something. and did like 2.7 million GCI, and he's out of production and only like 2 paid lead sources, yard signs, database. I think they do some FSBO expired, and then two paid lead sources. So it doesn't have a lot of pillars. All right, so let's talk about growing your team. This is the last part, and I am not going to be able to get to much of this here. I'm going to go through the big parts here. Bottom line, you can't do it all. If you want to have a meaningful business and a life, you can't do it all. Your people are the only advantage you have. It's not going to be perfect, and it's about committing to the journey. That's a shortcut version. So we have processes in place to identify and attract talent. I failed in a lot of areas of business, but in this one, most of all, to hire and onboard properly. And when I say onboard, it's like the shortest path to getting your new salespeople paid. And that's where the real opportunity, the real opportunity in what's coming up is to grow your team and to do it the right way. Get these processes in place. Your recruiting marketing is like critically important right now. We're doing another training on that next week in our community. We do that live Wednesday training. Hire on board properly, and then the cadence and culture that you need to follow. Dave Freeman, another awesome success story. The year I started working with him, he did 65 sides with a part-time administrator. He did more than our team. He's in our region with Keller Williams. He did like 3.5 million GCI. He just spent a month in the Galapagos Islands and like fishing off the coast of Peru or something random. Just a cool guy. He's launched 2 other businesses since Real Estate B School, or since joining Real Estate B School. So this is the other thing I wanted you to, I'm just going to fast forward it here because I want you to take a screenshot. This is how you look at your business, and this is how we train in Real Estate B School. There's 4 drivers: attract, convert, deliver, scale. I spent most of our time on scale here. Our program covers all of it. So all of the tools and systems and strategies, the tactics, the forms, the presentations, all of it, you need all of that stuff. And each of those 4 drivers have 3 accelerators. So there's 12 areas of your business that you have to focus on to be able to scale this thing sustainably and profitably. So that's worth a screenshot for sure. I want to spend the last few minutes going through something that is launching today as I'm doing this live at 12/12 on May 21st. You do not want to tune out right now. I promise you what we've built is extraordinary. We are finding this gap in traditional coaching. Teaches you how to get really busy, sell a lot of homes, yet the money may not be there to afford our higher level programs. But you need to put the systems in place to be able to get leverage to build this thing to take on a life of its own. So we just are launching our Business Foundations program. And the quote here I have is, if you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. So the mission of Real Estate B School is to help you scale your real estate business through sustainable systems, empower people. Bottom line, the only measure of success here, not the only measure, is more money, more time, and less stress. Those are the 3 indicators. And so this is Business Foundations, and it includes 4 times a week, daily coaching live with a business coach that has actually done the thing you want to do. They're selling hundreds of homes without grinding in the business. And so you've got 4 times a week, daily live coaching. You have once a week, I mentioned the live specialist training. I give everything I possibly can, all the things that are working and not working every week, Wednesday at 2 p.m. You have access to that. Instant access to every tool and system I've ever created. So it includes everything we've ever built, all the templates, documents, presentations, everything. We just built out a new foundational tools training. I'm going to show you that here in a second. Access to, it's a proprietary planning system we just launched, Business Freedom Planner, and we also send out a copy of that to you every quarter. This is a cancel anytime, no obligation deal. The monthly investment is $297 per month. That is introductory. That price is going to go up to $497, and we just don't know when. So I want to get about 100 folks in this program as quickly as possible. And so we're kind of have this founders, thing. All of this coaching, all the tools and systems have been in use. This is the 7th, 8th year that we're doing this. So none of this stuff is new. The way we're packaging it is new. So $297 per month, cancel anytime. And it is a limited time. Getbusinessfoundations.com. Write that down. It's getbusinessfoundations.com. I'm going to show you what you get. So in addition to so give me a split second here. And I promise you that you're not going to want to miss this. Let me see, rebsmembers.com. So I'm going to show just what you get when you log in. And so the live coaching, you'll have access to live coaching. That is 4 days a week. You'll have live access to me on Wednesdays. And then in addition to that, let me show you what the member portal looks like. So this is instant access to everything that is on the screen right now. You'll start out with just the program cadence and really sort of how do I get started in this program? And all of these are trainings that you'll go through. Your coaching and training schedule, daily coaching, weekly specialists, all the Zoom call information, that sort of thing. We have a graduate program, which you might be ready for at the right time. Our foundational tools, this is some magic in here. This is newly created. So this is some new stuff that we've just built out, and you get all of the tools and templates. In anything we do, you get all of the tools and templates. So all of these are checklists around the actual tools that you'll be running. And yeah, so an example is like personal wellness assessment. Once a month, we'll have you take a personal wellness assessment. And we'll go through different areas of your life and how to do that sort of assessment. Let me back out of this here real quick. And then your business freedom planner, we'll physically mail you the business freedom planner. Here is the training on it. So this is where the rubber meets the road, is the ability to do the things, to get the things you want to do into your calendar and what that looks like. So that is completely new, and you get access, and we send you out a physical business planner. So you heard me talk about attract, convert, deliver, and then create your future, know your numbers, grow your team. Every document, every tool, every system, everything you will need to implement those into your business is included in this program. So let me give you an example of just the attract driver. It's split up into 3 accelerators: database marketing, listing marketing, and buyer marketing. If you click on database marketing, it's all of the trainings and also the foundational documents and tools that relate to, so you can see it's all, there's all the workbooks, all the templates, all the newsletters that we run, like anything you could possibly think of when it comes to database marketing is included in this. And then you also get access to all these individual trainings. Every training has its own series of documents, as you can see. So it's very, very deep in terms of the training that we provide. Know your numbers, all of the tracking spreadsheets that you need, training on all the tracking spreadsheets. For grow your team, it's all the ads you need to run, how you run the cadence, how you actually identify and attract talent. Every one of these accelerators has a deep dive workbook associated with it. So there's 12 of these. This one's 81 pages long. So there's 12, and they all have lessons in terms of how to identify, attract, like everything you need to do to be able to do this part of the business. How you identify the right person, exercises to take you through what they'll be doing if they're a good fit, how to build out core values, the different types of people issues. I mean, it is like just the most detailed, granular stuff, if that's the thing you're going to be focused on. Cracking the talent code was Dan Jones, one of our boardroom members, gave away his entire agent onboarding, his whole recruiting process, and his whole training manual. His training manual was, let me get the page number. I think it was like 144 pages. So that is part of this. Like, y'all, I'm not messing around when I say this is tactical, scripts, dialogues, exact training process. Now, this is his training process, which is mimicked after ours. And we have a full onboarding process for our agents as well. Y'all, these documents you swipe and deploy right into your business. So it is not messing around. And I see some questions coming in. So yeah, give me some questions, get in the chat. If you have specific questions about the program, it's Get Business Foundations. And also, real quick, one last thing I want to show you is that you also get access to all of our specialist trainings, a library of all of our specialist trainings. So let me see, there's like 10, there's probably like 70 of them in here. So basically, if I wanted to, you know, search for something, let's search for, you know, referral. Say I want to do something on referrals. So the referral marketing upgrade. So I just found a training on referrals, and, you know, so that's when I taught everyone how to go to the marketing, go build a marketing and social calendar, and exactly what we do to regularly do that. Business goal achievement mastery, business momentum, lead conversion challenge, time freedom system. We do case studies on building, you know, businesses, journey from agent to owner. I interviewed one of our members. Backstage Pass, we also focus on client care, world-class client service, the showing specialist advantage, financial freedom mastery. Like, you get access to all of those trainings. And so all the live trainings on Wednesdays are recorded and put in the member portal, but you get access to all the historical trainings. So like I said, I'm out of breath, and I just wanted to kind of end with that. Get Business Foundations is where you go. I'm going to bring up that slide here. And then I'm going to answer any questions, as I do believe I do want to leave you with answers to your questions. So yeah, it's month to month. And, you know, for those of you that aren't ready for our high level programs, our higher level programs are unbelievably awesome, where we handhold you through the journey and we tell you exactly what to do every quarter. This is more self-paced, yet you have access to the daily coaching. That is the big win here, is access to that daily coaching and access to me once a week. I don't know everything, but I'll be honest about what I know and what I don't know, and what's working, what's not working for our members. So, yes. So Ladina asked a question, does the training show you which module to start on and where to go next, and is it easy to follow? Yeah, so when you sign up, you get instant access. When I showed the first three was Program Cadence, Foundational Tools, and Business Freedom Planner. Those are the three that I would start with. The Program Cadence is going to tell you exactly, let me pull it up here, because that's a really, really good question. And that is, Ladina, half the battle in some of these things is the fact that it can be overwhelming. So the point I want to make based on that question, where the heck did, all right. So so the question is, you know, how do you know what to do first? And so the Program Cadence, that's where you're going to go first. So welcome to Business Foundations, the solution to a broken industry, how to get the most out of their program. What should I do first? So there is a training involved. Oh, Antoine asked a question too. And yes, I just didn't get a chance to put it in the, you get access to the intensives, yet you have to pay a little bit more than our higher level members. And so I think the ticket price is $297 or $497. So you'll get access to those 2-day intensives, yet you have to pay. Our other members, like Boardroom, gets it for free, and our graduate members pay $97. So Ladina, what should I do first is right here. And then the next step is to grab your foundational tools. And so what should I do first? You just click on it. I recorded a 4-minute video exactly on what you should do first. And, you know, I had the perspective of having built all of this. You know, our team is exceptional, and they've built out iterations of this. And now looking back on all of it, what would I have done differently? So really, really good question. Antoine asked a question, Lars, I want to sign up now via website, but I want to make sure Stacy Swindell gets credit. Yes, really good question. And she's going to love that you asked that. So Stacy is all over any of this. Stacy Swindell, for those of you that don't know her, she may have been following up with you. She 100% gets compensated on all of these sales, where she's had a piece of the process. So I love her. She's one of the best people in the world, and we would never, ever, ever, ever cut her out of anything. Yeah. Yeah. So Ladina too, 100% she will get credit. So she'll get a commission on both of you guys signing up. And the cool thing is it's cancel anytime. We wanted to make this program an absolute no-brainer to help you get to the point where, honestly, you can come up into our graduate program. You know, for a lot of you, you may be getting productivity coaching somewhere, you know, where that's teaching you how to do more transactions, and you already know that you want to build these, you want to put these systems in place from the ground floor. That's really where Business Foundations is unbelievably strong in terms of what we built out. And so to say I'm honored to offer this to all of you is like a big understatement, because this is like, you know, 13 years in real estate in the making, you know, this whole process. So yeah, Stacy is good to go. You get access to the intensives, which is awesome. I want to show you one more thing, and then I'll let y'all get out of here. Let me see if I'm sharing the right page here. So this is kind of our program offering. And so you can kind of see the different levels of what we offer. And so, you know, Business Foundations is designed for folks that haven't hit the 500K plateau yet. You know, once you get to that point, it's really doubling down and getting you to 1.5 million where you can exit production. And so that's where our graduate program picks up. The missing piece was this Business Foundations. It's folks that already know they want to build a really nice business, and they don't have the right things in place to do it now. They don't have the tools. So you get all those tools for that. So like I said, the live coaching 4 times per week, weekly specialist training, plus all the recordings, the foundational tools, the Business Freedom Planner. We'll mail out a physical copy of the Business Freedom Planner to you. 1 member is allowed in the program. So it's just you that's coaching. The investment level is $297, and then cancel at any time. And so if you're at the point in your business where you're already in the 500K to $1.5 million, you know, let's have a conversation about how we can get you accelerated, you know, through the journey. So that's a possibility as well. So getbusinessfoundations.com. Anthony has a question. As far as the onboarding or team building section, does it address how much to pay your showing agents? Yes, good question, Anthony Jones. Oh my gosh, let me share a different screen. Yeah, I'm going to use that question. And you know, that's the reason I love the question is because I brought a new client on that did 5 million of GCI that didn't ask that question in the beginning. And he built the whole thing on the wrong economic model and is struggling 80 hours a week and not any more profit than his personal production. And so just an amazing question. So onboarding, team building, how much pay your showing agent, listing agents. Yeah, so there's a few points I would point you to. And I'm gonna show you just the functionality of like how this thing works. So if you're asking a question about like economic model, that would be in 2 parts I would look. So I would look in know your numbers, determine economic model. So there's 2 things I would point you to. The Revs economic model goes through, I think this is a 25-minute training that goes through like specifically the economic model and the compensation around buyer agents, listing agents, your brokerage, what all those numbers need to look like. And that's something you pre-decide. So that is one place that I would look. And then, so for showing specialists, I happen to know where it is. I know that it's in client servicing. We call it our showing specialist advantage. In here, we have all the ads. Showing specialists are a huge leverage point. So all of the ads that you'll run, the compensation you'll offer, the job profile, the requirements, what they get paid, the bonus program that we have in place. We have a playbook that all the training you give them, like it is like that nitty gritty where I even showed you what I paid. I had my buyer agents back in the day become my showing agents on my buyers. And I even give you that compensation model. So it's really nitty gritty in terms of that. And then the other place that I would look, So you'll sort of, you'll learn how to navigate this thing. If you go to specialist training and just kind of hit the search, trying to think of what I would search for. Economic, maybe? No, economic wasn't it. Anyway, the other opportunity is just to search. What did I call it? Net worth, not net worth. Anyway, we did a whole training on net worth as well. Yeah, financial freedom mastery. And so in here, I lace some of that in this training as well. So you'll really start to figure out where things are in the member portal, the different modules that you have access to. Fundamentally, when you look at, right, so when you get access to this, the program cadence, the foundational tools, and the business freedom planner, that is to kind of get you started. Foundational tools, these are things that you're going to do every month or every quarter. The business freedom planner is every 90 days. We're physically going to mail you a copy of the business freedom planner. Attract, convert, deliver, create your numbers, create your future, know your numbers, grow your team. Those are like those 4 drivers, except that scale is blown out the way I just presented. In each of those, there's a deep dive workbook that takes you step by step what you need to be focusing on. And in the foundational tools, you'll learn how to look at your business to help you decide what to work on next. And then if you look at page 2 here, you can see you have access to all the specialist trainings. And then I put together a market shift toolkit, even for our members, on the 12 trainings to focus on right now to kind of crush the shift that we're going through. Yeah, so John asked a question, system compatible with EXP systems. So yeah, this is brokerage, completely brokerage agnostic. And so like I was with a Remax when I started my team, then I owned a Remax, but I didn't have any independent agents. Then I was independent, then I'm with KW. So what I've built is independent of being with any of those brokerages. So it doesn't matter where you're building your business or any of that. And so EXP, there's the second side of being in EXP, that's building your downline. That, like, I don't teach that part of it, obviously. But part of building your downline is having a kick butt real estate business. So this will help that 100%. Are any other questions? These are really good questions. Get Business Foundations is where you go. And I think there was a hand raised. Oh, Anthony Jones probably, yeah, raised his hand, but I think you asked the question. So y'all, that's all I've got. Go to getbusinessfoundations.com. Y'all know what's included. It's cancel anytime. It's really just my way of serving an industry right now where the opportunity is massive, massive to be able to build a business that stands for something. All right, so go to getbusinessfoundations.com and you'll get everything you need once you sign up there, and you'll get instant access to all of this. So it'll be really cool. And start with that program cadence, foundational tools, and then we'll physically mail you out a planner probably in a couple weeks. But you can do the training on the Business Freedom Planner before that. Oh, there's one more question. Just signed up. Appreciate you, brother. Antoine, good work. Appreciate you. Leap of faith. Anytime you spend money and invest in something, you know, it's sort of that leap of faith, and we don't take it lightly at all. So we're going to honor your commitment to yourself and deliver at the highest level. Make sure you guys check into the daily coaching and the weekly training as well. All right, y'all, be good. Much love and respect.